Have you ever felt lost, like you're wandering through life without knowing where the road is taking you?
Yeah.
Or maybe you've been knocked down so hard it felt impossible to get back up. Steve Jobs, one of the greatest visionaries of our time, gave us the blueprint for turning pain into power, doubt into belief, and uncertainty into purpose. Let's break down the lessons he shared, and I'll tell you why they matter, for me, for you, for anyone trying to make sense of life. In a speech that's become legendary, Steve Jobs told 3 stories about connecting the dots, love and loss, and the inevitability of death. Each story hits like a punch to the gut, not just because it's real, but because it's relatable. He didn't just talk about success, he talked about failure. He didn't just tell us to dream, he showed us what happens when dreams crash and burn. But most importantly, he taught us how to rise from the ashes. Today, we're diving into these stories, and I'll tell you exactly what I think we can learn from them. Connecting the dots. Jobs started with a story about dropping out of college, following his curiosity, and how it led him to a calligraphy class. At the time, it seemed like a random decision with no practical purpose. But years later, that knowledge became the foundation of the beautiful typography in the Macintosh. What does this mean for us? Sometimes life doesn't make sense in the moment. We're stuck in the chaos, wondering if we're wasting our time. But here's the truth. The dots only connect when you look back. The decisions you make today, even the weird, unexpected ones, might turn out to be the very things that set you apart in the future. This hit me hard. I've had moments when I questioned why I was working so hard, why I was chasing goals that felt uncertain. But Jobs' words remind us to trust the process. You don't need all the answers right now. You just need to take the next step, follow your instincts, and believe that it'll all make sense later. Love and loss. Then Jobs shared how he was fired from Apple, the company he co-founded. Imagine that, being kicked out of your own creation. He said it was devastating, a public humiliation. But instead of staying down, he started over. That period of failure turned into the most creative time of his life. He started next, built Pixar, and eventually came back to Apple to lead its greatest comeback. What does this mean for us? You're going to lose things you care about. Maybe it's a job, a relationship, or even a version of yourself you thought would last forever. It's brutal, but it's not the end. Sometimes, losing everything is the beginning of something better. I respect Jobs for admitting how much it hurt. He didn't sugarcoat the pain, and that's important. Life will hit you hard, but what you do after matters more. When you lose something, you're forced to confront what really drives you. If you still love it, you'll find a way to rebuild. If you don't, maybe it's time to move on. Facing death. Finally, Jobs talked about the one thing we all try to avoid: death. He said that remembering he would die someday gave him clarity. It stripped away the noise and made him focus on what truly mattered. What does this mean for us? We waste so much time worrying about what people think, playing it safe, and avoiding risks. But when you remember that your time is limited, those fears start to fade. What do you have to lose? Life is too short to live someone else's dream or follow someone else's rules. My take: this is heavy, but it's also freeing. When you realize you're already on borrowed time, you stop holding back. You stop being afraid of failure or embarrassment. You start living for yourself. Jobs wasn't just talking about death. He was talking about life, about making it count. Here's the thing: Steve Jobs wasn't perfect, but he lived boldly. He trusted himself when others doubted him. He turned failures into stepping stones. He faced death with courage, and he shared these lessons so we could do the same. His stories aren't just about him. They're about all of us. We've all felt lost. We've all been broken, and we all fear the end. Jobs ended his speech with a simple phrase: stay hungry. Stay foolish. To me, that means never stop chasing your potential and never stop taking risks. Life's too short to play it safe.